Each year, Rainbow Mealworms is your one-stop shop for all your insect needs. Their quality feeders and A-plus customer service keep me coming back to support the health and growth of all of our animals. Visit them today at rainbowmealworms.net to place your order. I want to take this time to shout out Redline Shipping. They are the #1 fastest growing reptile and animal shipping company in the world right now, and that is for good reason. Use promo code GECKO5 today at checkout for an additional $5 off your shipping label. What's going on, everybody? We're back from the Anaheim Reptile Super Show that was in California this weekend. I can't hear out of this one ear, so I apologize. It's making me kind of freak out a little bit. I took a shower after doing a little bit of cleaning around here, and I think there's some water stuck in there. So what's going on, Mr. Wizard, Kirby? Good to see you guys. So I wanted to do this episode just to kind of catch up real quick and let me know if the mic volume is trippy. I wanted to test it out this episode as well because I was so upset last episode. It was like blaring and like really difficult to listen back to it. So I really need your guys' help when microphone stuff is not going well. But I did find a way to kind of test it out before the stream. And so thank you. That's what I'm doing now. I just want to stop it from like hitting those peaks where it like becomes really annoying to listen to. But I do have a gift that we were sent by somebody and they were asking if I had got it. And so I'm curious what's in there. And so I figured I would, open it live and I'll take a quick peek at it, make sure it's, appropriate and everything, which I bet you it would be. But yeah, I'm excited to open that. Maybe talk about Anaheim a little bit, and probably won't make this too long of a stream, but I did want to check in with you guys, kind of let you know what's going on. We do have our rare mystery packs back on our website, and people seem to be really happy about that. You're getting a lot of nice tangerines, clown crosses, emerines in there. So Bam Bam, what's going on, man? Vison. Thomas, trying to pop my ear. My ear won't pop right now. So why don't we first start off by opening what's in the box? Okay. Yvette, what's going on, Yvette? I'm curious what this follower of ours, Mark, sent. Listening and switching UVB lights for the beardies. Very cool. What UVB lights did you get? I know there's a lot of new technologies out there now. Me, myself, with the Sailfin Dragons, I'm really starting to prefer the Mega Ray mercury vapor bulbs because they do, UV and heat at the same time. But I've also heard a lot of testimony from like reptile scientists and stuff like that like the UVB bulbs that we have are not like full spectrum, so that there's still improvement that can be made depending on what lighting you want to go with. So I think the reptile hobby is improving. Viv Tech is at kind of the part of the forefront of that movement for improving on husbandry and whatnot. Ooh, there's some stuff in here. Pretty cool. All right, let's make sure this isn't personal, and then I can kind of read it off. Thank you for your time helping us pick out the tangerines, Mark and Erica. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate that. And look at this. Look what we got here. There's a phone case in here. And they must know what kind of phone I have because this is for the Samsung Galaxy S22. That's so cool. I actually really need this. It's a phone case with a kickstand thing, I think, in here. Military grade drop protection. Because a lot of times I was actually just telling my wife about it. Holding my phone is starting to give me like cramps or like pre-arthritis in my hand. And so I'm excited to utilize this. So phone case with a phone stand. And then some shatterproof. It looks like some really good shatterproof screen protection, which is good. That way I can continue to like shoot videos challenging situations. Like whenever I go into the Tegu cages, I kid you not, they're always jumping at me. It's pretty crazy. Okay, I'm not too into barbecue, but my wife is huge into barbecue, and they gave us some honey hog BBQ. I do like seasoned salt though, and that seems to be what this is. So apply to meat or vegetables. Very cool. I'm definitely going to give this a try for sure. Thank you guys so much. So we got some like honey hog seasoned salt. It looks like some top of the line screen protection, and then a phone case along with like a stand, so you could like watch it as a TV and stuff like that, which I think is going to also be really helpful as I travel to more shows, next year when I actually hopefully start flying out to shows and stuff. So thank you very much, Mark and Erica. Really appreciate it. That's awesome gift. That kind of segues us into, how did Anaheim go? Well, I wish I got, let me start with the negative first. The negative first is I wish I got to walk around and talk to more people. I saw a few of my friends there, a few of, the fellow Arizona breeders that, go out there, like Zach from Pied His Life. I did get to see MJ from Trap Talk, and I did get to talk to Lord Alion from Mutation Creation. But before he was in Mutation Creation, he was Lord Alion on YouTube. He has, I think, like the #1 bearded dragon channel, and I've watched him for a while, and I was like walking around the auction after the show, and I saw somebody that looked like Lord Alion, and I was staring at him. And so I hope the guy didn't think that I was like, staring him down or anything, but I was staring at him. I was like, that can't be Lord Alion. Forget it. And then I go back to my seat, I sit down, and the auction is getting ready to start. And sure enough, I see Austin, which is Lord Alion's friend from Canada. And then I see Lord Alion. And this time I'm like, okay, the pieces are adding up here. This is definitely Lord Alion. So I was talking to him for a minute, and that was really cool. Dave Kaufman was there, the Kaufmeister. I didn't get to talk to him, but he was there. A few other content creators. Black Ivory was there. I didn't get to talk to him, but so that's the thing is, I wish I had gotten more time to actually talk to people. But when you're a vendor at a show, you got to be at your table. You got to be like the face of your booth, and you got to be there. And I just couldn't step away. You know what I mean? There wasn't enough time to step away. We thankfully we were pretty busy ourselves at our booth. Even though we were all the way towards the back, like back middle, I wasn't sure like how well. I mean, I've been to enough shows to know that there's going to be business for everybody, for sure. No matter where you are in the show, there's going to be business for you. But you have to do your part of, putting yourself out there, extending a hand of friendship, putting animals in people's hands. And dang, that just reminds me, I have like people that I was supposed to follow up with after the show, but things have been hectic after the show as well. So I have not had a chance to do that, but I need to do that. We have a lot of geckos that's going up onto our website. Hopefully this weekend, I don't know, we got 50 to 100 geckos. That takes a long time to upload. And then I still have more videos that I need to release. We have our tour with Iguanaland. I have How to Train Your Dragon series coming with our big sailfin dragon. And then I have some leopard gecko project videos that I want to make. So like, I think this name might be taken. If it is taken, I'll have to change it. But I just started to kind of name out some projects. The Red Dragon project for our leopard geckos over here that's exhibiting like high amounts of pops and pigments of red. Sold a couple of those at the show this weekend. And then oh gosh, what's the green one I just started calling? Not the green monster, but and this is the one that I think might be taken by Urban Gecko up in Canada. Oh shoot, what's the name? I just was showing it off in a video the other day. Oh man, I can't think of the name right now, but we do have, obviously, from our Mandarin project. Mandarin brings in a lot of nice greens, and especially that combined with Inferno, which has a lot of greens in there as well. You know, I just started nicknaming these ones that show like very vivid, clear green coloration, a certain name. Yes, thank you, Ian. Appreciate it, Ian. My green goblins, they're just so cool. You know what I mean? And I do want to say, I think that the urban gecko, in retrospect, I think he might have coined that phrase already. And if he did, we'll change ours. But if he didn't, then I'll just leave it as the green goblins, because I think they're pretty cool. And the more that I show you guys, I think you'll really see high amounts, you'll see what I'm talking about. But then also our fasciolatus snows. You guys have to see these things. They are crazy. I mean, I got some pictures up like on my Instagram and stuff like that, but as they age, they're getting even better. So I need to show the fasciolatus snow, super snow, and total eclipse project, because the fasciolatus mixed with the snow makes the geckos more white and just hold that lavender all the way into adulthood. So minimum weight for breeding, I was just talking to a couple people about this. My recommendation right now is 65 grams and 10 months. However, I've had 40-gram girls lay 14 good eggs for me and not have any problems, and I've had 3-year-old proven girls in their prime get egg bound and pass away. So I think it's a little bit of luck as far as how that girl's season is going to go, but younger girls that are under 60 grams, if they're not from small lineage, if they're from small lineage like Black Knight, Bold Stripe, some Tangerine stuff, if they're from small lineage, then 50 to 55 grams might be the max that they max out at. But you want to look at overall girth and how old is this animal. So I would couple 65 grams and 10 months old as a minimum standard. And if your gecko is not 65 grams, then I would couple that with like 55 grams and 10 months old. The reason is because you can have some girls that hit 65 grams in 6 months. Easy peasy. They can hit 65 grams in 6 months. But technically, they're not done growing yet. And they're going to grow in like millimeters, and their body is going to mature. And I just think, in my observation, I think you're going to see a little bit more success, and it's a little less stressful and less risky on the females to stick to those standards. So, but you will have girls that ovulate at 30 grams, 35 grams. You will have that. And I would definitely not suggest breeding them that low, because you're probably going to run into like infertility issues, stress issues on the girl's not eating, possibly the girl's passing away or getting egg bound, so usually female 10-month already ready to breed, or wait. You need to wait for ovulations. So that's the other thing too, is just because a female is 10 months doesn't mean you could breed her. She needs to be ovulating. If she's not ovulating, she'll fight the boy, and it could be bad. You know what I mean? Man, Arizona is heating up, guys. Arizona is heating up. So I just need to be on top of my game, make sure that all the air conditioning in all the rooms is working, the rat shed is working. I just noticed, this is gonna be therapy for me. I just noticed that, whenever you have a large operation, or even a small operation, but specifically when you have a large operation, you kind of have to notice when things are working or not working, or whatever the case may be. Sorry about your blue iguana passing away, Jose. I hope you could find mourn, and in the proper time find a replacement for them. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh, my ear is really bugging me. It's full of water, and it won't get rid of the water. Okay, so let me drink some water real quick. So this is a cool cup. It turns like this solid color when it's cold. So amongst everything else that could potentially be going on. Keeping an eye on the rooms getting hot. All of that's been pretty good. Oh, my dad's here. Hey, Dad. What's going on, Dad? I'm really not. I didn't even plan for a live stream right now, but I had to open that gift package that somebody sent us. And then I just got out of the shower because I was cleaning in the rat shed, and that's always pretty nasty. So, it makes you feel nasty. We keep it obviously as clean as we can, but still the smell of urine and stuff gets on you. You get sweaty in there. And so I had to take a shower. And I was like, let me open the video. Let me do a quick live stream. But yeah, that's my dad right there. He helped out a lot at the shows, and specifically this last Anaheim show. So that's really awesome. Jacob, our worker over here, held it down while we were gone. He's amazing. We're currently trying to figure out right now if maybe the smell in the room is bothering him or the heat. He stays really, really busy. Like, he's a really active guy. But in Arizona, it's really hot out here, and that can really get to you. So he wasn't feeling too well the other day, and we're trying to figure out if it was from working in the rooms, and maybe it's affecting his asthma a little bit, because when you work with a lot of animals in a room, even if you open the windows and vent it out and all that kind of stuff, it can still be problematic to certain people or certain scenarios, So, but what was I talking about? You cannot trigger ovulation to my knowledge. Some people will brumate their leopard geckos to trigger ovulation, and then brumating them by like lowering the temperatures to 70 degrees, no heat. But you got to be careful with that. You don't want to be feeding them while you're brumating them. And there's a whole process that goes into that I could do a video on of how to do that. But sometimes people will brumate their leopard geckos. Like Brian Barczyk brumates his leopard geckos at 70 degrees, maybe slightly lower, for 2 months or something, and then brings them back up. But most leopard gecko breeders won't do that. So that could potentially trigger an ovulation. Your baby gecko is not eating. If you just got him, it could take them a couple months to get used to your environment. It could also be unhealthy. Sometimes baby geckos are sold unhealthy. And so that's something that you would need to sort of show pictures to somebody and say, hey, does my gecko look healthy to you? And my phone number is right down here if you want to send pictures to me, and I can tell you if your gecko looks healthy. If your gecko looks healthy, then I would just say your gecko just needs some time to settle in. Yeah, like Yvette said. It could be parasites. Parasites could stress out your animal's digestive system. So it really depends on if your gecko is healthy. It could also be if they don't have a hot spot. Vivisan, it's your birthday today. Happy birthday. Oh, I forgot that I have these things. Okay, I don't know if you guys could hear that, but I did the little cheer thing. Could you guys hear that? Because I have echo cancellation on and I don't have earbuds on, so it might have canceled the sound. But anyway, we do not deworm our geckos. Yeah, we don't deworm our geckos. I know some people that deworm like their bearded dragons yearly, or like the breeders yearly. I know some people that do deworm their leopard geckos, or you know what I mean? I think it's a little more rare. Most people do not do that in the leopard gecko hobby. I would say it's a little more common for the bearded dragon hobby. Oh, cool. You were able to hear it. It's a little more common for the bearded dragon hobby because they are they feed crickets much more than leopard gecko owners do. And crickets carry pinworms, and pinworms are not deadly necessarily. You know, I guess they could be, but they're really not that dangerous. They're really not that dangerous, but unless they get like in high amounts. And that's why most bearded dragon breeders will do some kind of yearly treatment, because they're feeding a lot of crickets, and that's oversaturating the animal's digestive system with those pinworms. But there's certain parasites that a deworming medication will not kill, or you might give the wrong medication. So like there's specific medication for coccidia versus general dewormer. And then there's no medication for crypto, which is actually a popular, I don't want to say popular, but it is more popular in leopard geckos and hognoses than it is in like ball pythons or something like that. You know what I mean? So certain reptiles do tend to have issues with certain types of parasites. So like bearded dragons is pinworms because of the crickets. Leopard geckos is crypto because crypto was rampant in leopard geckos when they were first infused into the hobby, and it's just kind of stuck around a little bit. But, you know, for the most part, if you just isolate and kind of remove animals that are showing symptoms, over time, a lot of breeders have developed a healthy collection or an asymptomatic collection. What an asymptomatic collection means is that the geckos have crypto, but they're not showing signs, and it is not affecting the livelihood of the animal. I actually think a lot more breeders do have crypto than they actually realize, but, you know, that's a different topic to go into. But there was something I was going to comment on. We were talking about breeding, and then there was something that I was going to talk about. Any plans for shipping to the Ham Expo? So Ham no longer allows for shipments to Ham. You have to go to DDI, Dutch Dragon Imports, which we can ship to DDI. We can ship to DDI. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to say too much. We're going to have Robin from Redline on our show doing an interview soon, and he's got some cool surprises that we're going to talk about. More incentives, I'll just put it that way, and bonuses for being part of the Redline team. And I think it's going to be really exciting for people to use, even more exciting for people to use Redline. I'm super excited to use Redline right now, because I truly believe they're the gold standard of the shipping industry, and they have the best team with them. But in addition to that, they also have the best products. So like, especially shipping out of Arizona, they use this black core 3/4 inch foam, which is thicker than the white foam, and it holds insulation better. It has a stronger crush proof rating. And they even have 1 inch and 1.5 inch foam that they're experimenting with, and they're going to make, I believe they're going to make those available in like for select people that want to buy that. But when testing out, I think I was talking to Robin, and it was the 1 inch or the 1.5 inch. When testing out that thick of a foam, it can go wrong really quickly if you're using a heat pack and you don't know about putting holes in there and stuff like that. And so they're not going to promote it too much just to protect user error. But the 3/4 inch works really, really well. And the 1 inch is going to work really well for summertime shipments for like cool packs and cold packs and stuff like that, you know. But it would not be, at this time, at least, it would not be released as like a promotional one that they want everybody using for heat packs, because it is dangerous with the heat packs. It actually holds the heat in too much, and if you're unfamiliar with how to correctly use heat packs, it could turn deadly for your animal. You know what I mean? So anyway, just little things like that where, you know, the bonuses of offering better materials to ship our animals in, they're just on top of their game, you know. And they have a great customer service team, some of the best and most experienced shipping members in the hobby. So, and I don't want to spoil the other things that's coming, but there's definitely some other things that are coming, and Robin's going to talk about it in an interview. So anyway, we can ship to Netherlands in Amsterdam. We can ship to Amsterdam right now. We could do that right now. We just can't plan to the Ham show, as far as I know, because when I messaged DDI, Dutch Dragon Imports, they're no longer bringing animals or brokering animals to Ham. So you kind of need to go about it a different way. And I'm not sure what way that is, because there's like multiple brokers. When you get into international shipping, it's not good enough to just book a shipment. You have to go through paperwork. You have to go through health checks. Sometimes you have to have your animal health checked before it leaves, when it arrives. Then you have to deal with the quarantine process. Then you have to deal with other couriers that are going to bring your animal from that location to whatever city. It is a huge deal. It's not easy, but hopefully, I'm not going to spoil too much, like I said, but hopefully with Redline Shipping, there might be something coming that might make that possible for us. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And then we'll have Robin on our show and we'll talk about that more. Thank you, Mark. I did open up the gift at the very beginning and it's amazing. I can actually really use those things. I really love eating like fried chicken tenders. And so I'm going to like use that salt or that seasoning on fried chicken tenders, maybe my burgers, cooking some burgers. I'm really looking forward to that. And the phone case, I can always use an extra phone case, but especially the little kickstand that it has on there, for sure, it's going to be useful. And then the glass protection. Pied Gecko Good Market. Yeah, I would say there's enough people that are into the pied geckos. I don't use them right now. And here's the thing that you have to be careful with pied. Pied is Super Snow and Eclipse. You have to be careful with Super Snow because I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but a lot of breeders will admit to this. Maybe some breeders won't admit to this, but when you are breeding Super Snow projects, there is a tendency for Super Snows to have skinnier nose bridges and slightly deformed facial and skeletal structure where they're overall weaker bodied animals. And then when you're adding Eclipse in there and other mutations, it can weaken the genetics even more. Now, not every animal is going to be that way, but there is definitely a larger percentage of Super Snows and Super Snow Eclipses with some kind of skeletal deformity or skinny bodies or facial skinniness. And so I think that's one of the reasons why the Pied project just hasn't really taken off, is because you can't really be selling sick and skinny and unhealthy animals. And if a certain percentage of those are popping out that way, you can only sell and market the percentage that is doing okay. And even the percentage that's doing okay, if you were to look up Pied animals right now, a lot of them you'll see are kind of small. They're kind of small. They're kind of runty. You can't breed Super Snow to Super Snow, by the way, or it's highly suggested not to, because that's going to heighten the issue even more. And so I think for all of those reasons, the project never really took off huge. It's not really like mainstream yet, where everybody's like, oh, I need a pied because such and such has a pied, because they're still kind of rare because of those health situations that I'm talking about. But I think that they could be trending into the mainstream eyeballs more. Oh, cool. Our guys over at NBK, we got to see them at the Anaheim, California show. And I just shared on my Instagram story, they had a flood in Canada and his facility is like 2 feet underwater right now. It's crazy. So, we're definitely sending thoughts and prayers to those guys. And if they start some kind of fundraiser, you know what I mean? We can definitely look into promoting that along with them. Because I like the guys from NBK. They're real cool peeps. Family-owned business. I think it's like 3 generations deep now. So I think it was like this guy's grandfather that started the business originally, and that's pretty cool to see. So we have Tegus, which I was just dealing with today because Arizona's hot. So I just spent an hour changing out their water bowls, spraying down their hides. We have a couple of girls that are getting ready to lay. I actually think I have a girl that's going to double clutch for me this year. So she laid 43 eggs for me at the beginning of this season, and I think she's pregnant again. Like, she's just looking chunky, massive, to the point where now she's naturally a big girl, but she's just looking a little bit bigger than normal, and I think she might double clutch for us. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, we got over the next month or so, we should definitely have like 150 Tegu babies in anticipation, maybe more. And then we do work with Sailfin Dragons. Whoop, whoop. the big black Sulawesi sailfin dragon. Super excited to have those in our collection. They're really, really rare. So when the opportunity came up to buy some, I bought some. And then I set up their cages, and then my wife came home from work, and then she was yelling at me for a little bit. And then the resolution was, okay, she'll be happy as long as I move the leopard geckos out of the house by October. And so I think she's happy for now until that happens, even though our living room is literally a zoo right now. It's literally a zoo, literally a zoo. Yeah, so big black sailfin dragons. I got one adult, 15 babies, 17 babies that I ordered in because I really wanted to take advantage of that. Florida is still going through a lot of potential crisis and scare as far as shipping reptiles in and out of Florida. Oh, Tipping Scales, what's going on, man? Shipping reptiles in and out of Florida is up, it's being challenged again. So when I saw the sailfin dragons come, available, I was like, I'm buying them. So a little tip, no pun intended, little tip, Tipping Scales. By the way, if you guys like to, when I first started this channel, I would talk a little bit about the drama in the hobby and the stuff going on. But for me personally, as a breeder and as sort of like a family friendly kind of channel, lately I've just began to see that it's probably not best for me to get into debates with people and argue the ethics of certain types of things, and just stick to the fun of keeping reptiles, especially as somebody who makes their business off of selling animals. It's just good to be more relatable to people and stick to the positive side. But I do enjoy a good debate, and I enjoy listening, and behind the scenes, I can definitely call you and answer phone calls and talk about these types of topics privately. I'm just not going to be doing them publicly anymore. But Tipping Scales has done a great job of, covering some of the drama in the hobby and whatnot. So I'm pretty sure he does other videos as well. So I apologize. I'm not trying to paint him in the light of saying that he just talks about the drama, but he does a really good job at just covering it from a non-biased perspective, looking at both sides, seeing the good and the bad in both sides and talking about it. And so as humans, we like drama, right? That's why my wife and I watch The Bachelorette every week. You know what I mean? We like to see a little bit of drama going on as human beings. That can get a bit tricky when you have a business. Look at Budweiser, right? All publicity is not good publicity, right? And I'm starting to see that, for myself, when I first came into the hobby, I kind of thought that I couldn't go wrong. I got this huge platform. Whether people are saying good things or bad things, it's not going to bother me too much. And for the most part, it doesn't. But at the end of the day, when you're trying to make sales and you're trying to be more inclusive, all publicity is not really that good publicity. Look at what happened. Okay, I'm not on either side, but look at what happened with Starbucks. Starbucks didn't want to get on the Budweiser train, and then they kind of caught some backlash from that even. And so when you're a business, staying neutral can be very, very beneficial, and not making a stake on one side or the other, unless your living is made off of that side. So there's very liberal, content creators that make their living off, speaking from a liberal perspective. And then there's conservative content creators that make their living speaking off a conservative perspective. But as reptile breeders, we make our living off selling animals. We don't make our living off of one side or the other, or I don't want to say drama in general, but some people can kind of make their living off drama, what's his name? Donnie from Nerd. You know what I mean? If you can get really, really good at it, you can make a lot of money and make a living from it. But most people, it's really difficult to grow a YouTube channel, a TikTok, an Instagram to a point where it's actually paying you to talk about these dramatic contents. You know what I mean? But, oh, I'm sorry. Tipping scales real quick, if you're still here. There are a few companies that have the Filipino sailfin dragons and even captive born ones. So GX3, G as in good, X as in zero. Is zero spelled with it? No. Xerox? X? What is a word that begins with X? Xanthophores? Xanthophores? X as in xanthophores? So GX3, he has a captive population of Filipino sailfin dragons, and to my knowledge, he produces a significant amount of them every single year. And then xylophone, there we go. And then also the Reptile Barn. So GX3 and the Reptile Barn, they are two companies that I know of that every single year they have been producing captive born Filipino sailfin dragons. Which is also on my bucket list of animals to keep. But for now, I think I'm going to have my hands filled with these like 16, 17, Sulawesi black ones that I got. What I'm going to be looking to do is building like a filtration system for them and stuff like that, because changing out their water every day or every 2 days for these giant water tubs can be definitely really taxing when you have a business and there's other things you need to attend to, so. I wanted to ask you that's the exact reason. So I think Hyro had to go. I want one so bad, but I can't properly house one. And that's fair enough. That's fair. It's now I'm going to show how to easily house a sailfin. You can easily house a sailfin in a grow tent of the appropriate size easily. And that will actually be really beneficial for them because it will hold humidity. So real quick, Hyro asked, why did I back out of the interview with Fauna Podcast? Is because I knew that we were going to get into topics and debates and conversations that would not be beneficial for the hobby. As you guys know, the hobby right now is under fire from, not USARK, but PETA and all kinds of organizations that just want to take the most dramatic stuff from our industry and save it. They're holding on to it. They're saving it. And when they need to use it in court to take away our pets, they will use it. They'll be like, look at these breeders arguing with each other over this, and this. And so that is why I decided to back out of that. It's also, as a business, you also have to consider, how does it make you look when you're on a podcast and you're going back and forth with certain people publicly about certain topics that could be viewed both ways. You know what I mean? I just don't think that it would have been the best thing for the hobby, the best thing for my business, the best thing for, the brands and other people that I'm connected with, to sort of highlight and talk about, drama, negativity, stuff like that. And my goal right now is to just focus on positive content, positive content, exciting content, entertaining content, because I think that that's what is truly best. If somebody wants to talk to me about these topics behind the scenes, I'm more than willing to do that, but I just think publicly it winds up getting used against you. It gets used against the brands that you affiliate with. It gets used against the hobby. It gets used against USARK. And I just didn't want to go down that road. You know what I mean? So that was my reasoning for that. Yeah, Tipping Scales does a ton of investigation in the topics that he brings up. So like I said, he's got a great channel. He's growing really fast because there's definitely a niche of people that enjoy the drama and enjoy talking about the drama and listening to the drama. And this is just my opinion, but the vast amount of the hobby, drama is not good for. And so if you're a business trying to sell animals, being caught up in drama is going to hurt you more than help you, in the reptile industry specifically. Now, if you're in the political world, it might help you because you're getting a lot of views. You're getting tens of millions of views, which is generating thousands of dollars a month for you. And then you get merch sale and all that kind of stuff. But in the reptile hobby, you're not getting that kind of money from dramatic content, and you're not selling that many clothes to feed your family from dramatic content, from my perspective. And so I think from a person who's selling animals, I think it's better to stay away from it, you know? Now there might be some wiggle room there, depending on your personality and how you cover the drama. I think you might be able to get away with it. Like Tipping Scales does a really good job of kind of being neutral a little bit. So, you know, I think there's a little bit of wiggle room there, but for me, I just made the choice to kind of back away from that, you know? Cool. Hyro's still here. It was, what's his name that left? Jose. Jose left, and I saw the J and the J, and I was like, oh, I hope Hyro's still here. Aloe Natural. Yeah, so you guys know me. I mean, a matter of fact, that's why I have not done an update video on, you know, certain things that I would like to do update videos on and make public videos on. I'm still thinking how I want to do it. You know, there's controversial genes in any reptile industry, and trying to understand those genes better and see what it works better with versus what it works worse with, you know, and trying to understand how we can clean up those problematic genetics, if it's possible to clean that up. That can be used against you. It could be used against your brand. It could be used against the brands that you associate with, you know? And so from a business perspective, for me, I had to make the decision to kind of chill on those topics for now, you know? I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe there might be a time in the future where, you know, and I've talked to I've talked to, you know, like I've talked to Robin at Redline Shipping about this topic as well. And, you know, we've discussed how it is a fine line, and, you know, he understands that because he's a breeder himself. I don't know if you guys know this, but Robin from Redline Shipping had one of the most successful and largest captive bred facilities back before they went full gung ho into the shipping industry, you know, and maybe we'll talk about this or touch on it when he comes onto our channel. But, you know, they had a fire and they lost everything, and he didn't have the heart to start it back up again. There's a lot of stuff that happened with insurance policies and all that stuff that didn't go their way. Plus, I'm sure just, you know, with in general, what happened with the animals was probably pretty gut wrenching. And so he decided to go into gung ho into the shipping route. But he had one of the most successful and largest captive bred facilities. I think they had over 17 full-time employees, he said, taking care of the animals. So they were well stocked. He was telling me they were shipping out, what did he say it was? Oh, we were having dinner when he was here in Arizona, and he was like, yeah, we were doing $25,000. We were doing 25,000 shipments a year. And I was like, oh, you were shipping out $25,000 worth of animals a year? He's like, no, we were shipping out 25,000 shipments a year. So they were shipping on average 2,000 animals a month. They were a large captive bred facility. And so he understands what goes on behind the scenes when you are a breeder. You know, there's certain genetics you want to understand better, and you're working with those genetics and you're trying to test it out with other genetics. And some people take that and they try to use it against you, and it could be a negative look for you. It could be a negative look for people associated with you. And if you're trying to maintain, sponsorships and brand deals and all that kind of stuff, you kind of have to be conscious of that. Again, look at Budweiser, I actually thought Budweiser was going to bounce back, but it is not appearing that they are going to bounce back. You know what I mean? And so there are certain things that you could do in the industry, in the reptile industry, that will bar you from getting sponsorships or being related to other things in the industry. And if you don't want that, then you sort of have to tread lightly or carefully. You know what I mean? And so as of right now, for my business, I think it's more valuable for me to maintain these relationships, these sponsorships, these brand deals, and all that kind of stuff. I value that. I value being connected to these people and these brands, these monumental brands, and I'm going to do everything within my power to maintain that. And if that means that for the meantime, I have to keep my mouth shut to a certain degree and not talk about certain topics, and I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, the topics that make channels grow are, again, to each their own, but are positive topics. I mean, if you look at Donnie's kind of like the one exception to this. Donnie from Nerd, he has taken Nerd from like 50,000 followers to 700,000 followers in the last 2 years. And now, I don't think he does dramatic podcasts on Nerd's channel. I think he does it on Twitch. So use that for a reference. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that he is making... Actually, no, he is. Because he's making videos about like fake content creators and calling people out and stuff like that. And he's doing that on Nerd's channel. And so he is one of the... But he's going for views necessarily. Like that is his goal, And Nerd already had a lot of customers before he was growing his channel, so it didn't really affect his channel. But if you're a new company and you're trying to gain followers and viewers by being dramatic and calling people out and throwing shade, I don't think that's going to work so well for you. You know what I mean? Now, Tipping Scales does a really good job of like not throwing shade. He just kind of covers the topic in a very neutral way. And I could take that approach. I could have went on to Fauna Radio and taken that approach. But I just think that for me, that's such a fine line that people can take out of context and still use against you as a business and as a brand ambassador and as somebody who has sponsors and stuff like that. I just think it's not worth the risk. You know what I mean? And also for the hobby, because US Arc right now, for me, could probably do better without more negative, like breeder on breeder negativity, so I'll stop beating that dead horse because I know I've been talking about it for a little while now. It's partly because my ear is still clogged by water, and I feel like that's affecting my ability to think. So here's a cool, fun topic: African fat tail geckos. So I do not breed fat tails right now, but I will in the future. And this might even be controversial, me saying this, but again, I'm not arguing about it. I'm the type of person that I'm okay with hybridization. If an animal can hybridize, I think that's really cool. So like a crested gecko and a Chihuahua gecko can hybridize and they make a really cool animal. I think there's not enough research that has went into publicly declaring what can be done and not done in leopard geckos, but I've heard enough sources tell me now that fat tails and leopard geckos can be crossed, that is something that I will be attempting in the future. And I'll let you guys know how that goes. Now, that is not as controversial as the lemon frost gene. You know what I mean? Hybridization and tumors and cancer research are not on the same level. So I feel like I can talk about hybridization and I'll be okay. But talking about like tumors and cancer research and trying to understand how these genetics are playing out in the animals during outcrossing and stuff like that, that's a little bit more sensitive of a topic. And right now, I'm busy enough keeping up with everything else that's going on in our business that, at least for now, I would like to chill on that topic publicly. But I'm more than happy to talk to people privately about it. Also, leopard geckos and hard wiki I have heard can be interbred as well. You know, they're subspecies. And then also, oh yeah, tipping scales. I don't know if you meant hybridization or if you meant the lemon frost gene in leopard geckos, but there's a couple of genes in leopard geckos that in extreme cases are very, very bad and difficult to see. And that is Enigma syndrome. So Enigma syndrome, in a worst case scenario, makes the gecko spin around in circles, starve themselves to death, and die in a worst case scenario. And the lemon frost gene, in a worst case scenario, makes the animals develop tumors, which can lead to malignant cancer, which would spread to organs, tissues, muscles, and other parts of the animal's body. But again, those are the worst expressions of those genetics, similar to like the spider ball python has a very bad expression, which anybody that looks at a very bad spider can be like, dang, that kind of sucks that the animal is going through that. But anyone who looks at a low expression or a mild expression spider would be like, oh, I don't even think that animal has an issue. And that's kind of the same with Enigma and lemon frost. There are minor expression ones and major expression ones, similar to spider has minor expressions and major expressions, you know? And specifically, I'm sorry, I don't even know your name from Tipping Scales, but I'll call you Tipping for now. I apologize. I'm sure you say your name in your videos, and I'll take note of it. But every hobby has certain things about that hobby that is different, or every niche. And the leopard gecko niche is very, very nitpicky. It's very nitpicky about the certain things you talk about, the certain things you say. And if you don't get in line with what is quote unquote this ethical box of things that you should only talk about and only entertain conversations on, John, thank you, John, then you could be viewed as like, you could be viewed in a really negative way, and people will try to cancel you and take you down and all that kinds of stuff just because you're not fitting in their box. Now, I heard that the ball python hobby was that way in the early days, but then it became too big to control. And that's what I'm kind of hoping the direction of the leopard gecko hobby is heading in. When I first started my YouTube channel, I was the only YouTube channel that would talk about lemon frost, talk about Enigma, like openly and in a way that was like not judging others and talking about it like, hey, well, there are low expressions and high expressions. Everybody else that was in the box that you had to fit in, they wouldn't even want you talking about it. They would say, quiet your mouth. And if you open your mouth, we're going to cancel you. That's the type of atmosphere that's going on right now in the leopard gecko hobby, in this small little bubble of people that are trying to control and dictate the way that things go. So what that has caused to happen is it's caused for a lot of the biggest breeders in the leopard gecko hobby to just be off doing their own thing and not really collaborating and not really growing the hobby together. And so my goal is to work with other people that are okay with these open conversations and not necessarily endorsing people to go and breed these animals, but being okay with talking about the results, talking about what happens, talking about low expressions versus high expressions, and just kind of being okay with having that conversation. You know what I mean? And it's just tough because people in the leopard gecko hobby are very cutthroat, and they will try to take you down if you don't fall into that line. So a lot of people tend to just throw their hands up and not talk about it for the longest time. But now there's more content creators of leopard geckos that are more open-minded outside of this small little box, that are willing to sort of put their necks on the line to expand the leopard gecko hobby to be more collaborative, more open-minded, and less judgmental. And so that's kind of the direction that I'm hoping we as the leopard gecko hobby are going. And I think I know a fair amount of people that are contributing to that. And I think as the next 10 years carries on, we're going to see a much more open space for the leopard gecko hobby, for people to come in and not feel attacked and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, the hybridization. Actually, ball pythons and Burmese pythons have been hybridized as well. So there's ball python and Burmese python hybrids. There's ball python and Anglo python hybrids. If you know what that is, I don't remember the exact name. There's like a subspecies of ball python or something that can be interbred with the ball python, and they're called like the Anglican. Somebody correct me if you know what I'm talking about. Anglican ball python or something like that. So those can be interbred with ball python. And then Chihuahua and Chihuahua and crested gecko, leopard gecko and fat tail gecko, I haven't seen evidence of, but yeah, Angolan, there we go. The Angolan python and the ball python have been hybridized. And then, yeah, I don't know if you know this, John, from Tipping Scales, but within leopard geckos, there is like 8 different species and subspecies. And some of those species and some of those subspecies are interbreedable with each other. So Fasciolatus, Turkmenicus, Macularis, Montanus, and Afghanicus. Those are 5 species and subspecies of leopard geckos that are 100% completely interbreedable with each other and cause for no issues. Then there are some hybridizations that cause for issues, such as Macularis to Angraminu, which, by the way, I was going to wait to make this a surprise, but I think, oh, there you go, blood pythons and ball pythons too. Angraminu is a giant species of leopard gecko. They are over 12 inches and over 150 grams, I think. And some different provinces and localities can be even bigger. I think the cage, we got a cage donated to us by Apex Cages. And I think the cage that got donated to us, I'm going to turn that into a bioactive Angraminu environment, because I just think that would be so cool to do. So anyway, if you breed a Macularis to an Angraminu, you get mules. You get babies, but those babies are sterile. And I think that's the same with Macularis to fat tail. I think those babies are sterile from what I've been told. And then also, I'm curious about Fuscus, Hardwicki, Saptornensis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but these are also subspecies of leopard geckos that I would like to see some test breeding going on with hybridization possibilities. And some of them really aren't hybrids. Like, I would not call an Afghanicus and a Macularis a hybrid in a way, because they're so closely related that they can breed with each other no problem. And so the way that I view hybrids is animals that are a little bit more difficult to breed. You know what I mean? Saptura. There we go. The Saptura leopard gecko. So the way that I view hybrids is animals that are a little bit more difficult to breed, but under the right circumstances can produce babies. And so the instance that falls in is like the Chihuahua and the crested gecko. They can breed, but I don't think they prolifically breed because there's not really that many of them out there. And I think if they were prolific, I think we would see a ton more of them, you know? So that's kind of the way that my mind, when I think of hybrid, I think 2 species that are further apart in genetic representation to where it's not that prolific. The way they breed is a little bit wonky. Like, you can do it, but maybe certain things aren't completely 100% about the success or the ease of possibility of breeding those animals. You know what I mean? Yes, Kyle wants to see a full tank setup. Red Kenki. Mason. There we go. There's Mason, one of the new mods on our Facebook page. And he was the one that I was actually talking to about the Fuscus, the Hardwicki. I like saying Hardwicki, so I'm just going to say that. And by the way, I don't know if I should do this. If you guys are interested in Fuscus, and because they had a flood, I don't know if they're going to be back for the Pomona show. But NBK Reptiles had like 50 Fuscus on his table when we were at the Anaheim Reptile Show. And I've been waiting to get into Fuscus, but I also have a lot of animals here, and you know what I mean? So I've been waiting for the right time. But if you guys are potentially interested in Fuscus, let me know, and maybe you could pay me up front and then I'll ship the animals to you or something. But I am thinking of bulk buying some Fuscus from him and some other subspecies that he might have, because I like the other subspecies of leopard geckos, and I've just been waiting for the right time to get in, you know. Subspecies are the same species with slight differences, so there you go. I didn't know that about Leos at all. I'm learning about house snakes, and there are so many subspecies and locality crosses, and the taxonomy seems to change a lot. It's a little overwhelming. Yeah. So even the sailfin dragons, John from Tipping Scales, sailfin dragons are technically all interbreedable to my knowledge, which is why when sailfindragons.com, by the way, I don't know if you've ever come across that page, but sailfindragons.com, they sell like Hydrosaurus mugs and stuff like that. They're pretty cool. But Hydrosaurus.com was started by like one of the original guys that imported sailfins. And I've listened to some of his videos, and in some of his videos, he would talk about how he has hybrids, you know, between the different localities. And so, and how a lot of the animals that were coming in back then were hybrids. Now we're starting to get more pure localities in. So I don't know if you guys need to know, but a great place to get sailfin dragons right now is spacing on me. New Moon Reptiles, and where did I get my adult boy from? There's an importer that I got my adult boy from, but I actually talked to them over the phone, and I said, why are sailfin dragons being imported now in the rare species? Celebensis, Microlophus, those were and Weberi, those were the rare species of sailfin dragons. Why are they being imported now more often? And he said, well, they were always available for importation, but because they bashed their face in, they did not make good pets in the pet store. However, now that we know how to keep them, we know to block off the walls. You know what I mean? We know to give them high humidity. They're not having those issues anymore, and now they're able to market and sell them to the American market as long as they're available for importation. But that's why I wanted to buy a bunch, because in case they're not available for importation, or in case Florida temporarily or permanently shuts down all exotic importation, I wanted to get a bunch, you know what I mean? So I can have my own captive collection here. So my Anger Mind You boy paired with my 100-gram Montanus girl last night. Sweet. And I heard Montanus has been pretty big as well. You know what I mean? I have never shipped to South Africa, but I would love to do so. I'll talk to Robin at Redline Shipping and see if that's something that we can broker. But again, when you're talking about international shipments, a lot of times you have to get a full vet checkup at departure and at arrival. You need to get proper paperwork signed. You need to arrange
for the flight of the animal, but then also the drive for the animal to be driven to another, wherever your customer is. And a lot of times those are different companies. The company that does the health check is different than the company that flies your gecko, which is different than the company that does the CITES paperwork, which is different than the company that puts your animal on a truck and delivers it to your customer's door. So all of these different hoops to jump through is definitely why we don't see a ton of international shipping. You know what I mean? So I'm going to end it there, guys. I got a ton of work to do today, but maybe I'll jump on a live stream sometime this weekend. Keep an eye out for more leopard geckos that I'm going to update soon. And yeah, maybe we'll do another video about the Anaheim show, but I didn't get to walk around, but I do know some of the other creators that were there and they had a good time and whatnot. So I really thank you guys for being a part of this. It was an honor to have John here from Tipping Scales. So if you guys are looking for it's almost like a news show. That's the way that I kind of view Tipping Scales is kind of like a news station for reptiles. So from a non-biased perspective, he'll kind of deliver the news. He'll talk about the pros and the cons from both sides and kind of let you make your own decision. So I like his channel. I listen to his channel a lot. And I think it's relieving and it's entertaining to listen to a news channel amongst all the reptile channels that just talk about reptile content, which is, for the most part, that's what I want to focus on, is just like reptile based stuff. But because there's so many of those channels, I'm sure it's interesting to have news channels and podcasts and all that kind of stuff. So John has a really good one. It's family friendly. I even want to say it's family friendly, but I'm not sure the profanity or not, but I mean, he covers it in a way that is very family friendly. Curse words and stuff, I can't remember, John. You'll have to correct me on that. But when I promote something as family friendly, I usually promote it as something that has like no profanity and is covered in like a non-derogatory or like attacking manner. But Tipping Scales, very good channel to cover if you're looking for some news coverage. So I didn't see his response about the profanity, so I'm not sure. But you can check him out, and if it's for you, you can definitely stay. But he does a great job covering the information on the hobby. So, yeah, I'm going to get back to some leopard gecko stuff, guys. I really, really appreciate you guys being here. I thank you guys, and I will see you. Oh, I got so many videos coming. Just be patient with me, guys. It's just been tough to get the video out there amongst the show and just the day-to-day life of the reptile business. So thanks so much, Norman Davis. Really good to see you again too. And as soon as I can, I'll start making the live streams more consistent again as well. You know what I mean? So thank you guys. Have a blessed day, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, have a geeky gecko. Great day. Didn't get the alert you were live, but hey, yo, Frank, what's going on, Demi? And please watch it back. We talked about some cool stuff, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.